Welcome, everyone, to Dover Motor Speedway Monster Mile, the second race in the chase for the Winstel Cup. 7 races remain in the Winstel Cup Series season. We're glad you're with us here for what should be a very electric race in the concrete jungle. 35 drivers set to do battle here this afternoon, 10 of which battling for a championship. Welcome to Winstel on ABN. It's all eyes on who's going to be at the front of the field here. The points going in pretty straightforward. Jacob Potak with a 20-point advantage over Dylan Roberts, Jeremy Davis in third, Emily Howell dropping down to sixth following last week's race. Sorry, 2 weekends ago race. Behind Christian Budd and Tyler Head, the two former Winstel Cup Series champions. Christian, the defending champion. So Emily's got some work to do. Gabriel Mauricio has some work to do as well. 7th in points there. Sean Pellig in 8th. And then the two drivers that did not start last time out, Brandon McKissick and Nick Doucette, well behind the rest of the field. They were already behind the 8 ball going into the chase. Now it seems like their championship's over before it really starts in the chase here. And these are the 10 chase drivers, though, that we'll be talking about throughout the night. You look at some of those that are not in the chase: Jose Solis Jr., Christina Ryan, Ryan Hill, Brennan McGee, Evan Locke, Kyle Benson. These will be just drivers that we try to keep an eye on and trying to play spoiler on a typical basis. Larry Pace, someone else that we keep an eye on as well. He's in 18th in points right now. So there are some drivers trying to play spoiler here. We'll see how this plays out. This is a race that can go one of two ways. Either it's going to be very friendly for the playoff drivers, for the chase drivers, or it's going to be very violent for the chase drivers. Only one way to find out, though. 70 laps, pretty quick. Should be a single pit stop race to make things happen here. Qualifying is underway. Tyler King on the racetrack as things sit right now. It is Brandon McKissick, though, pole position. Talked about trying to redeem what you can in 7 races. McKissick doing just that. Tyler King in this Best Buy number 0 across the start finish line. He does enough just to get the 26th, which is the last of those that has set lap times so far. Christina Ryan hitting the wall on qualifying. We'll start from the back of the field. Jeremy Davis trying to avoid the same fate. Lucas Oil, number 4. Top 3 right now in the points. Would love to have another solid race. Out of turn 4. Really loose. He's going to lose some time there, but he keeps it off the wall. This will be a valid lap time. He will be in 17th as things currently sit. Christina Ryan on the racetrack at the moment. As we mentioned before, tagged the wall in qualifying, not a valid lap time for the 88 camp, but taking the time now for some extra practice. You see how loose these cars are getting out of turn 4 especially. That will be the calamity corner. Turns 2 and turn 4 traditionally have always been trouble spots with how these cars unload, the way it falls away from the drivers. Will be something to keep an eye on here, with turn 4 being the more violent of the two tonight. Brandon McKissick also taking extra time to practice. Pole position for him as things sit. And that looks set to continue on. 28 drivers at lap times. It's going to be a very interesting grid that we get to go over here. But it is McKissick who missed last time out. He will be on track and leading the field to green tonight. That is qualifying done and dusted. The full results on your screen. Brandon McKissick and Jacob Potak, your points leader on the front row. Dylan Roberts in third alongside Andrew Ferrinares. Christian Budd, Emily Howell in row number 3. Jose Solis Jr. and Gabriel Mauricio in row 4. Tyler Head and Ryan Moyer make up your top 10. Another good qualifying run for the 31 of Ryan Moyer. Top 10 once again. Parker Alexander, Nick Doucette. Row 6, Nick Doucette, remember, 10th in points going into tonight. Missed the previous race, start the chase. So he's got a lot of work ahead of him. He's starting top 12 as well. Brendan McGee and Jordan Barabee in row 7. Tom Willett and Ryan Hill in row 8. Row 9, Jeremy Davis and Corey Cook. Kyle Benson and Evan Locke make up row number 10. Alex Bates and Lucas Davila in row 11. Row 12 is Craig Lautenslager and Sean Pellig. Not a great run for Pellig in qualifying. Let's see what he can do in the race, though. He has typically been a lot better in race trim, especially over these last 9 races. Brandon Coppinger, Steve Brown in row 13. Row 14, Brandon Cruz and Tyler King. Then you look at those that did not set qualifying times. Christina Ryan tops the bunch, 29th ahead of Austin Reedy, making up row 15 there. Philip Snipes, Ken Huff, Corey Steinhauser, Hayden Repas, and Rory Collins round out the field of 35 cars here at Dover. Reminder, we are keeping track of scores tonight. NFL action, NFL kickoff Sunday was today. They've got Sunday Night Football coming up here in about 20 minutes. The scoreboard's going to be at the bottom of your screen here. The Ravens and the Bills going at it. 2 juggernauts in the AFC to get the season started. And then it's the Vikings and Bears tomorrow night for Monday Night Football. We also encourage you, if you're watching tonight, join us as well tomorrow night for the start of the HTL Cup Series season. Qualifying and the duels to set the grid for the HTL Daytona 500. That is tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Right here on Twitch, on ABN. 35 cars set to do battle in the MBNA Racepoints 400. Extra lap of warm-up to get us underway. It is McKissick, Potak, Roberts, and Ferriner as your top 4. Reminder, we'll pull up the little key card here at the top of your screen. Those marked in yellow are battling for the championship. They are in the chase for the Winstel Cup. Several of those drivers in the top 10. A couple of them outside the top 10. Pellig in 24th. Jeremy Davis in 17th. Nick Doucette in 12th. Keep an eye on where those drivers marked in yellow will be throughout this race. Things will change in a hurry here at Dover. They typically do. We are glad you're with us here. What should be an amazing night of racing. If everything goes well, should be a quick night of racing as well. Could be one of the faster Winstel races of the year. Expected 1 pit stop race. How do we get there? McKissick, Potak, Roberts, Ferriner is your top 4. Bud and Howe, row 3. It's time to go racing in the first state. We are green at the Monster Mile. Side by side, still out of turn 1 and 2. Potak takes the point in turn 3. Outside lane prevailed there at the front. Potak leads lap 1, but we get through lap 1 clean. Roberts in 3rd. Ferriner drops down to 5th behind Christian Budd. Emily Howe still sitting in the 6th spot. But everyone's got it figured out. Further down the running order, Tyler Head trying to stay in the top 10. Battling with Ryan Moyer. Nick Doucette's up a spot to 11th. Parker Alexander in 12th. As some drivers shuffle spots from where they started. Still side by side, Moyer and Solis, teammates there for RCR. Moyer on the charge, so is Solis. And Moyer's going to take advantage of it, up 2 spots. Making some early headway. Everyone in action here. Exciting times as we cross the line over into lap number 5. Tire wear will be a factor quickly here. This concrete surface we see so many times at Bristol, at Nashville, here in Dover. It's like a sandpaper to these tires. Just grains and grains and grains away at the tires and wears them out pretty quickly. And we'll see that a lot. Clark Alexander dropping several spots here. 3 wide situation you do not want to be a part of. He'll drop those spots to Davis and he'll stay ahead of Ryan Hill. That was Davis and Hill that was trying to get around him. Only one got through. He'll slot in the middle. Budweiser versus Jim Beam. It is for 15th place now, where Alexander's at. 21, if Tom Willett, the Wood Brothers machine, right behind as well. Then you have Kyle Benson in 18th place. As we look down the running order, Evan Locke there in 19th, Corey Cook in the 78, for Furniture Row Racing in 20th as things currently sit. Sean Pellig, lowest of the chase drivers at the moment, still in 24th, has not made any moves forward or backwards, still sitting behind Craig Bodenslager, and right now just sitting ahead of Brandon Coppinger. He'll run up the racetrack a little bit, trying to find some momentum. He needs to make passes happen quickly if he wants to try to keep touch with the championship leaders that are 5 of the top 6 right now as things sit. Coppinger trying to follow Pellig around here. Lautenslager was trying to get around Davila and it didn't work out. Quick lap times here at the front of the field. It is still Potak, but it is not by much. Ahead of Brandon McKissick and Dylan Roberts. Christian Budd watching this battle take place from 4th place right now. Ferry Nair's holding station in 5th, ahead of Emily Howe. Very similar to where they were in North Wilkesboro when they were battling for the race lead back in the spring. Seems like McKissick really good out of 4 and into turn 1, but it seems like the backside of the racetrack a lot better for Potak. Not normally how we see things play out. Typically, you're either good in turns 1 and 2 or in 3 and 4. You're usually not splitting the track long ways in terms of where you're good and where you're bad, but that's where we're at right now. Potak keeping McKissick at bay on the backstretch. McKissick applying pressure on the front straightaway. Pretty unique how that plays out. Potak still sitting in the race lead. It is still Linus Stern, the first several cars. You go all the way down really to Solis. And then you look at side by side between Tyler Head and Ryan Moyer. Moyer burning up his tires pretty quickly, trying to make us charge forward, and now paying the price for that. There is a debt to pay for aggressive driving, and it's not always in wrecked race cars. Sometimes it's just in burn-up tires. Ryan Moyer jumping in this late in the season in that 31 car. It has been sink or swim for him since his debut, and I think he's swam pretty well in the deep end with some of the elite Winstel talent. He's right now battling with Mauricio, with Tyler Head, with Solis, multiple winners, champions of the series. He is right there in the mix of them, which is something that you definitely put a feather in your cap with there. We're completing lap 15. It's been green flag every lap so far. pit window about 35 laps, so it's almost guaranteed you're going to be able to split this race in half. The undercut does extremely well here. So if you're able to get to 35 and bow down quickly, you're typically in a pretty good spot by the time that pit cycle is done and dusted. This is a short track that races like an intermediate. You're going to see a lot of that. They're going to come across lap traffic, and it's not going to be like short track lap traffic. It's going to be a lot like Las Vegas and Charlotte lap traffic. Moyer, a little bit of latency for the 31. Trouble further back. That was a car in the fence, and that was Davila. 34. And Davila will drop down to 25th place. Almost a caution-worthy event there, but instead we stay green and we touch lap 19 of 70 here with Potak still at the front. A little further down the order, this is Kyle Benson up into the 16th spot. Mauricio's dropped all the way down to the 15th spot. A little bit of separation between the lead pack and then the secondary pack, about a second between Mauricio and Benson. Side by side behind, that is Alexander and Willett. Behind Evan Locke, and it is Willett that hits the wall at a 2. Little tap of the wall there, so no serious harm done to the 21. You don't want to make a habit of it, though, because you only get a couple freebies on that one before you start paying the price. And that's when you do get wrecked race cars. Safety barrier all the way around this racetrack means that when you hit the wall, you bounce. And usually back into traffic, and that's how 2-car crashes become 15, 20-car crashes here at Dover. Another thing this track shares in common with Bristol. You don't often get small accidents. Side by side, Locke trying to get around. The 5 of Mauricio gets loose, has to drop a spot behind Benson. So all that effort for naught. Little pack of 5 cars here. Barabee, McGee. You got Jeremy Davis, Ryan Hill, Nick Doucette all in this group. Emily Howe beginning to lose touch with the top 6 as well. So the top 6 beginning to pull themselves away. And it is Potak that is leading that charge over McKissick. The top 3 have all spread themselves out as well. Potak, McKissick, and Roberts. 3 different approaches to this race at the front of the field. Potak's right now the most effective so far, and that is clean air is king. But he's also giving McKissick some clean air by running up the racetrack in the corner, especially on the entry. It's working out for Potak. You see it's opened up about a second. Sorry, about half a second. It's a little bit larger from the camera angles we're using, but half a second is the gap, and that's still a pretty decent amount when you're looking at a 1-mile racetrack. The gap between McKissick and Roberts about 6/10. And then the teammates for Roush Racing pressuring each other to go a little bit quicker. Roberts Still holding off Christian Budd. Andrew Ferrinair is in 5th, trying to apply some pressure. The pit stops are not far away for the field here. Again, the window opens at lap 35. You got to make it halfway. The drivers should be able to pretty easily, but that isn't a guarantee. Side by side for a moment. Christian Budd trying to apply that pressure forward. Doesn't work out quite yet. Now he's in the threat from Ferrinair. The outside lane has prevailed all race long so far. Does it prevail here? It just might. 32. Last on through to 4th place. And Christian Budd loses a spot and now has to worry about the 29 of Solus in his rearview mirror. Mihal still in 7th. Tyler Head in 8th. Ryan Moyer still in the top 10 as well. And Brendan McGee did not have a great couple of races at the end of the regular season and the beginning of the chase 2 weeks ago. But look at him in the top 10 right now. As Solus comes down pit lane, he'll be the first to blink. He comes in early. Christina Ryan and Tom Willett staying out. Willett, you talk about him touching the wall a little bit earlier on. He has dropped down to the 24th position. Nick Doucette also down pit lane. So 2 cars down pit lane early. The leaders go on through. And they will take over the undercut strategy when they come out of pit lane. Let's see what their pace looks like. Cruz comes down pit lane as well. Cruz started in 27th place. Not made a lot of inroads in the first 30 laps of this race. So Solus, Doucette, and Cruz will be the first 3 cars to make pit stops here under green. Cars coming down pit lane. Moyer and Locke down pit lane now. As we get closer to halfway, that's a little bit more reasonable of an undercut coming down pit lane on lap 34. I think you still want to get to about halfway. I would not be surprised if someone like Potak or McKissick came down pit lane this time by, now that we've gotten to that halfway point. We'll see who actually bites on that, because the issue with pitting early here at Dover is that a caution can legitimately come out at any time here. And so that could be a huge factor and a huge issue. No one came down pit lane this time, at least of those in the top 10. Brian Hill comes down from 11th place. So he will drop in and take some fresh tires and some fuel. See, there's Doucette going by. He was one of those that came down pit lane early. There is a distinct difference being on fresh tires versus not. Ferrinair's up to 3rd, but passed as if he was standing still by Doucette. Caution is out. That was what we were worried about early on. I'm not sure what this caution is for. We'll try to discover that for you. So pit stops here. Trying to see what we can gather as far as how that all came to be. believing this is with Alex Bates. Not sure if that's the case or not. He is on pit lane. Yeah, because the caution comes out right there. So I'm not entirely sure where this caution took place. Let's see if I can find some information on this. Not sure when this caution came out. It wasn't Bates. He was exiting pit lane and got passed by Brandon Cruz in that process. Focusing back in real time, the 89 has stayed out. He'll lead a lap here. He'll come down pit lane this time by. A lot of cars taking the wave around on this pit lane cycle. These are all drivers that came down pit lane early and will now need to come down pit lane to make service. So there's Hayden Repas, the 89, going to pit lane. Going to go back to Jacob Potak, the race leader. Did not pay off well for Nick Doucette, for Steve Brown, Evan Locke, Tom Willett, Brandon Cruz, Ryan Moyer, or Alex Bates. They will still have a lap down against them. Lap cars outside lane. Lap cars inside lane. Traditional Winstel restart rules. As we get ready to go back racing here, Potak, McKissick, your top two. Ferrinaires, Robertson, Budd, your top three. The green flag flies and away we go with 30 laps to go. Doucette has the pace, so he's going to be a problem for these leaders to try to get through. The top three will get through, though. And McKissick knows he does not have a lot of opportunity to try to get around the 22 of Jacob Potak here. He's got to get to work pretty quickly here. Nose to tail. Be remiss not to mention the passing of Bill Davis. Jacob Potak, the 22 car, one of those cars that race under the Bill Davis Racing umbrella in its heyday. Bill Davis passed away this weekend. Someone who gave a lot to the sport over his career. Condolences to his family at this point. I'm sure Jacob Potak is very well aware of what that 22 car means this weekend. The points leader, as we pull up the live points here, still a 20-point gap as things sit over Dylan Roberts, Jeremy Davis a little further down the order, Emily Howe in fourth, gaining a couple of positions as things currently sit. Curious how that math is mapping up. That doesn't seem entirely accurate. That didn't seem super accurate at all. McKissick did not gain 200 points on the field, so we'll go ahead and put that away for the moment. That is nowhere near accurate at the moment. We will try to get accurate points at the end of the race, though. It is Potak and McKissick's battle at the front that everyone's keeping an eye on here. McKissick gets the inside of Potak. You have kickoff for Sunday Night Football as well. Scoreboard now at the bottom of your screen for the last 23 laps of this race. You can follow along for both the race and Sunday Night Football. Bills with possession early. Potak really under fire from McKissick. The 22 and the 42 going at it. We have seen this battle before. They have traded blows all season long. Both race winners. Potak just been a lot more consistent. Carrier is watching from a distant third. Back up and running. A little bit of an issue, a hiccup with the scoreboard. A little bit of desync. Thankfully, not a whole lot of miss so far here with 19 laps to go. It is Potak and McKissick that are battling at the front of the field. Ferrier's leading that battle for third. Further down the order, Barabee in 8th, ahead of Mauricio and Brennan McGee, looking for a top 10 run if he can hold on. Getting around the lap car of Nick Doucette. And sitting right now ahead of Jeremy Davis. There is Steve Brown as well, also a lap down, the 43. Sitting ahead. Kyle Benson. Benson going through. If there's going to be a caution, it's going to be in this group right here, this swarm of cars. We had one. We're not sure where we got that first caution from. But the objective now over these next almost 16 laps is just try to avoid a second yellow. Is closing the gap to the top two here. He's made a little bit of headway in that progress, but in the same vein, McKissick's lost some headway in this battle with Potak. Was right on the bumper of the 22 for several laps, but it seems like those tires are beginning to give up a little bit. Losing their luster with 13 laps to go. Scoreboard update. Buffalo strikes first and strikes quickly. Touchdown for Buffalo within the first 5 minutes of the game. Potak holding on right now. Everyone trying to bottom feed a little bit. Not a lot of lap traffic today. Haven't had a chance to. Potak almost drove the car straight to the wall. Bobbled it big time. That was a huge bubble for the 22, and that was an opportunity for McKissick to get just a little bit closer. Potak rattled. The 22 in trouble. Working to regain composure here. The 22 over the 42, the 32 right there as well. Christian Budd staying close, trying to capitalize. Into the corner here. Less than 10 laps to go. Looking at 8 to go at the line. Everyone trying to make this pretty straightforward here with 8 to go. Very near up the racetrack a little bit. Looking for some clean air. Trying to close in a little bit more on this top two. Battles well down the field all the way through here. Battle for ninth. This is Mauricio McGee and Jeremy Davis. Here comes McGee looking for ninth place. And caution's out. Caution is out, and it's Austin Reedy. We do have a cause for this one. Austin Reedy, the 77, has gone wrong way round. We will have a late race restart here. And this is what happened. It looks like turned off the nose of Parker Alexander. See if we can back this up a little bit and see where this comes from. And play it in ABN slow motion, half speed. Looks like Austin Reedy checks up a little bit. Looks like he gets really tight. Alexander's not quite expecting him to check up that way. Just tags the left rear of the 77. I think it spins him all the way around. Yes, it does. Parked on the racetrack, though. Yeah, that's a yellow. Sean Pellig almost slipped the 77 on the way through. That was already on the fringe of the top 20, so Austin Reedy didn't lose too many positions there as pit stops take place. Very interestingly, top 7 stay out here. Christian Budd, Dylan Roberts, Tyler Head, Gabriel Mauricio, Brennan McGee, Sean Pellig, and Hayden Repas, the 89, stays out. Potak, McKissick, Davis, Ferrinair, Solis, all among those coming out of pit lane now. But they've got to get through a wall of cars. This could be a genius decision made by Christian Budd and Dylan Roberts. Tyler Head and Gabriel Mauricio, those top 4, very interesting to see how this plays out. Remember, single file restart here with less than 10 laps to go. The lap cars stay at the back. So not as much disruption here. The 89 of Repas comes to pit lane this time. So he will shove himself to the back of the field here and out of the way. So 6 cars staying out for a late race restart. This is enticing. green with 3 laps to go in regulation here at the Monster Mile, the concrete jungle in the first state of the Union. Bud, Roberts, Head, Mauricio top 4. Potak in 7th, your championship leader. Green flag flies, and away we go. A lot of wheel spin there. 3 miles to determine it all if we can stay green. Potak already up to 4th. Those fresh tires could be everything. There's just 2 tires. Caution's out. Point of no return. Steinhauser and Collins. There's Collins spinning right way around. And we will have an overtime attempt. We only get the 1 here on Winstel. Huge damage for both Roy Collins on the back of his car in the front of Steinhauser. A lot of damage on the 21 of Willett as well. Let's take a look at what happened here. Oh, this is going to be an absolute jumbled mess of cars. You can see it's already started. Collins looks like off the wall into Willett and Steinhauser. It looks like just those 3 cars potentially. A lot of aggressive driving here. Collins up the racetrack. Willett sees the middle open, goes for it. Steinhauser already on the bottom of the racetrack. Can't really go a lot lower there. Collins tries pinching a little low. It just doesn't pay off. You see the bumper that slid down the racetrack. We saw that part live. That was actually from the 21. It wasn't from the 55. Do you want to grab a couple onboards here while we got a chance? Actually follow along with this battle. This is on board with Steinhauser. See the 24 of Nick Doucette also involved there. On board with Roy Collins, his perspective of the accident. As we get ready to go back racing here in Dover. Jacob Potak from 7th to 4th in a lap and a half. He's got to go from 4th to 1st in 2 laps here. It is Bud, Roberts, Mauricio, Potak, and Tyler Head. Brendan McGee in 6th, Jeremy Davis in 7th, Brandon McKissick 8th, Andrew Ferrinair's top 9, and Sean Pellick rounding out your top 10 as things currently sit here in Dover. 2 laps to go. The point of no return is here. This is for all the marbles in Dover. Green flag flies. We are racing for 2 more laps. Fresh tires for Potak. Just those 2 fresh tires means so much. Slices around Mauricio. The time runs out quickly, 3 wide behind, outside the top 5. Roberts going to make it difficult for the 22. Those 2 bound for a championship. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go here in Dover. Did Roberts hold up Potak enough to help his teammate hold on to the race victory? A lot of wrecked cars ahead. They've got to navigate. The 99 of Steinhauser gonna get in the way. It will be the 17 of Christian Budd that wins over Potak and Dylan Roberts, but carnage behind out of turn 4 knocks Brennan McGee out of the top 10. It'll be Christian Budd, your race winner here in Dover. And there'll be a lot for the series officials to look at in those last 2 laps. But for Christian Budd, it's celebrations and a race win. Your defending Winstel Cup Series champion back in victory lane at the Monster Mile. Great job by Christian Budd here in tonight's event. Jacob Potak, Dylan Roberts on the podium as well. We'll have podium interviews in just a moment. Before we do, we will go ahead and we will go over your full race results. Christian Budd, Jacob Potak, Dylan Roberts. We'll see if we can talk to our podium here in just a second. Andrew Ferrinares, Gabriel Mauricio, your top 5. Jeremy Davis, Jose Solis Jr., Kyle Benson, Brandon McKissick, and Emily Howe ultimately end up in your top 10. A lot of stuff happening on those final 2 laps, shuffling the field around. Brandon McGee, one of those receiving the bad end of that deal. 12th place for him behind Ryan Hill at the end. Brandon Coppinger in 13th, Corey Cook in 14th. Christina Ryan up to 15th, capitalizing on the melee. Lucas Davila in 16th, Philip Snipes 17th, Austin Reedy, Sean Peleg, and Parker Alexander round out your top 20. 28 cars on the lead lap. Jordan Barabee, the last of those to be on the lead lap. It's Tyler Head who loses out big time in that restart melee. We saw the 3 wides all over the place. Tyler Head losing out. Ken Huff, Hayden Repas, Tom Willett. He had the damage earlier. Same with Rory Collins and Corey Steinhauser. Those 3 were not really a factor in that last restart. And they will finish on the lead lap, but a little bit out of touch. Tyler King, a very rough race with a 0. The Best Buy car, 27th for him ahead of Barabee. Craig Lautenslager, we saw him go a lap down at the finish. Brandon Cruz in 30th. Steve Brown, Evan Locke, Nick Doucette. All those have finished. Ryan Moyer and Alex Bates, the 2 DNFs here tonight. We do get to talk to our podium finishers here in just a moment, and they have a lot to digest and go over. So let's see if we can go ahead and talk to, let's start with the I believe we're talking to the 3rd place, Jacob Potak, I believe. Sorry, 3rd place, Dylan Roberts. Potak got close, but not close enough. But we will talk to Dylan Roberts, and we'll start the action from there. Dylan, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy.
Gotcha.
A wild race here, especially at the end in Dover. It started off super calm and serene, and it kind of just pops off with less than 10 laps to go. Walk us through that race. That 6 car, a good car, but it seemed like once you got clean air, it was pretty difficult to make moves happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it wasn't the worst actually to pass if you could get to somebody. It's just a lot of the guys in front of me, I mean, they just had so much pace. I could stick with them there for like maybe 10, 15 laps, and then I would just start losing the rear. I just can't quite get the feeling in the nose, so I'm kind of compromising my entries and shredding the tires off more than I want to. I just can't quite wrap my head around what they're doing, but I mean, a lot of fun. Dover's been a bit of a cursed track for me in this league, so it's nice to get a good finish here. I think probably 5th was where we should have been on pace, but with all that craziness there in the last 10 laps, the split strategy, it just kind of kind of worked out for us. I mean, third is, I'm more than happy with that. I felt really uncomfortable coming into this one.
Obviously, it's a long stretch between now and the end of the season. 7 races in 7 weeks, back on the grind all the way to the end of the season in Atlanta. Getting this race out of the way, this was one of the troubling stones that sort of stood in the path here. It gets a little bit easier. We go to Kansas next week. It's Kansas, Talladega. The next big trouble spot is going to be Martinsville in about a month. Texas, Phoenix, and Atlanta ends out the season. You talk about this track. You talk about this track just overall not being a track that traditionally has bid you well. You get a third place here, keeping in touch there with the 22, who was on that different strategy going into Kansas. What is the general vibe feeling like going into that? Like the 6 car survived its tough race, and now it's got some easy races coming up.
Yeah, hopefully just carry this speed forward. I'd say of the mile and a half, I think Kansas is my least driven. I have the least laps there. I've done more than enough racing, but it's not quite like Charlotte. You know, it's like one of those tracks you're driving it no matter what. You know it no matter what by being in a NASCAR uh, series. So running Kansas, I think will be pretty good. I don't know that I'll be winning the race, but it'd be nice to be able to get out of there with a top 5. Hopefully, some of the other competitors run into problems. I don't think I'm going to have pace for Potak or Bud a lot of these races, but a lot of things can happen. There's a lot of racing left to go, and it's too early to draw any major conclusions. But from my side, it's just about focusing on what I can control and trying to keep as much pace in it as I can.
A lot of work going into these next 6 weeks after tonight. Obviously, still second place in the points, keeping that gap close to the 22, who looked untouchable until the strategy factor came into play. We're excited for Kansas and especially for Talladega, the chaos that that race is going to bring in 2 weeks. Before we let you go and let you focus on what's coming up here and enjoy the football, if you're watching the game tonight, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on the effort and surviving the wild one. A lot of cars behind you didn't quite survive those last 2 laps.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's pretty much same as always. Every time I'm up here, I'd like to thank everybody who puts these broadcasts on and just puts this league on. A lot of work goes into this, and I'm just very grateful to have this, couple hours every Sunday night to not think about anything and drive some race cars and just have a good time. So I'm really happy about that. We're just going to focus up for the rest of the season, try to enjoy it.
Absolutely a fantastic job for Dylan Roberts here. P3 in the Monster Mile with Kansas coming up. That 6 car has always been strong at the intermediates. We'll see if we can talk to you again next week, Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was the 6 of Dylan Roberts. Obviously, trying to survive this race, did a great job of that. We will move on to your championship leader, who almost grabbed a race win despite having to go through the melee of the split strategies. Jacob Potak in that second spot, driving the 22 in a weekend where that number probably means a little bit more with the passing of Bill Davis. Jacob, walk us through your race. That car looked pretty well hooked up, and the only thing that stopped you was cautions tonight.
Yeah, cautions were certainly a weird one. I mean, that first one, saying that was the first ever stage caution in Winstel history, so that was pretty cool, I guess. But I mean, that meant I didn't have to do a green flag pit stop, and those are always pretty treacherous here. So that one, I guess you'd say, worked in my favor. So then the ones at the end, cancel it out, and that's just the way it goes. I really was surprised. I came out of pits with 2 tires, and there's 6 cars ahead of me, and 3 laps to go. It just didn't look good. But Brennan, I think, was in 5th ahead of Sean, and he got loose right at the start-finish line on that second-to-last restart, and that kind of bottled up Sean, and that gave me a wide-open gap on the inside to shoot right in the 5th or 4th place right from the get-go. And I think if that last caution had come out, I think, especially then that white flag, the old tires would have had 2 laps of heat built into them. I think they would have faded off a lot harder too. I think was actually still going to be looking at the win, which was definitely not what I expected. And then that second caution at the end, there's a really good like old tires. They get 1 or 2 laps where you can really hold your position decently, and just that last restart's only 2 laps, so I just didn't have the advantage I thought I would, and Still made a good charge at it though. Don't know what the 99 was doing at the end. Kind of, I wanted to arc that corner more. Kind of felt like the outside was taken up, but happy to run to the line side by side. And yeah, as you said, wanted to get it done for Bill Davis tonight. Rest in peace to a great car owner and champion of some great races. So doing it for them tonight.
Obviously, the points lead is the most important factor at this point in the season with 6 races to go. Kansas, Talladega, Martinsville, the next 3. That's a gauntlet in and of itself. Surviving one part of it tonight, it seems like things get a little bit easier next week. We know how good that 22 car has been, especially on the mile and a halfs this season. Is Kansas a good race to try to get back to that winning form that we've seen the 22 car in basically all season?
Yeah, I hope it will be. I think Kansas is a really fun track. Going to be running up by the wall. I always love doing that. I always feel comfortable doing that. So expecting another good race and yeah, hopefully maybe a little less shenanigans at the end.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching the way these next 6 races unfold. The target on your back doesn't get any smaller, but neither has the points lead. The points lead continues to grow, especially between those around you here. Second place in the Monster Mile, surviving what many could not in those final 5 laps. Before we let you go, let you enjoy, obviously, Sunday Night Football tonight, and obviously get ready for Kansas next Sunday. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on the podium, and hopefully a lot more conversations to come over the next 2 months.
Thanks, Carmen. Looking forward to it. Yeah, just condolences to the family of Bill Davis, and had a good run tonight in his honor. Also like that I had the black paint scheme to match it. It was a nice coincidence, and shout out to you for a great broadcast as always, and shout out to the league for putting it on.
A great job for Jacob Potak tonight. Front row start, and it is a second place finish for the 22 tonight. And the championship lead continues to grow with 6 races to go in the chase. Jacob, congratulations on the podium, and we'll talk to you again in Kansas.
Thank you.
That is Jacob Potak, our second place finisher here tonight. And we will move along to the 17. Your race winner, the man of the hour, your defending Winstel Cup Series champion, Christian Budd. Not letting that championship defense go quietly into the night. A race win on a split strategy call that you had to hold on for a photo finish to keep hold of. Walk us through that one. That was a gutsy call.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I felt like Dover has been one of those tracks where I thought in 2003 had a shot at the win and had maybe the best car and didn't win. And then 2004 last year, I thought had the best car and didn't win. And today definitely wasn't the best car. Jake had us really covered. McKissick was obviously very fast. Ferry-Nares was fast. I managed to get by Dylan after a long on that second run, but he was really fast too. And then I kind of accepted my fate. I was going to finish 4th. I just didn't think I had enough tire or anything to get to those guys up front. But then the caution came out, and I didn't think they'd pit. I'll be honest with you. I think every race that has a late caution, whoever stays out always wins. So I didn't think they'd pit, and then fortunately they did, and it left me the lead. And then I just really had to be, careful not to spin my tires up too much on the restart and throw it away. Managed to hang on to that, and Potak got really close there. He just needed another, probably really another quarter, not even a lap, and he would have had me. But that's all we needed today.
And it works out for you in a massive way. A win that was very needed before we begin this remaining gauntlet of races. 6 races to go. That 17 car, obviously, it is the regular season. It had always been the conversation of the 22, the 6, and the 15. This is where we saw you sort of come to life last season and that run to the championship. What is it about these later races that 17 car just kind of comes alive? Because it seems like it's more than a coincidence that the 17 car just has that ability to just pull out results like this with Kansas coming up, and then obviously surviving Talladega. You got Martinsville coming up as well. Those are no gimmies by any stretch of the imagination, but the 17 car just performs just a little bit better when the chase starts. What is the driving force behind that? Is it just better focus? Is there just a little bit more motivation that goes on once the chase starts? What's the secret ingredient behind the 17 just pulling up these results and reaching that extra gear?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that last year was pretty good for performance all the way through. We won the regular season championship and we're able to hold on for the chase as well. This year's just been a lot of wrecks, honestly. Just a lot of stuff that I didn't really feel like was in my control. A lot of strategy stuff that I was just always on the wrong side of. And it was really frustrating, honestly. I at one point thought, man, I might even make the chase, or just could not get a finish. Seemed like every time I was in a position to finish well, something would happen. So, as far as race winning speed, I mean, that part of it's like it's really hard to win races in this league. Like, you just see the competition, you see how fast everybody is. So some of it's a little bit of circumstantial stuff like tonight. Some of it's just, certain tracks that maybe fit me a little better for whatever reason. This new car's probably changed things up a little bit for everybody. I don't know that I've adapted any faster than anybody else. I mean, like I said, I look at Potak as the championship favorite here. I mean, Jake's winning poles and leading laps, and that's what you really want to be doing. I mean, I know we won tonight, but in a lot of ways, I'd rather maybe be saying, hey, I had the best car and everything, because that's going to matter for the next 6 races that come up. So, really, it's you go out there, you do the best you can, you control what you can control, and then the chips are going to fall where they will, and hopefully we'll be holding another trophy at the end of this.
Obviously, 6 races to go in the season. It's going to be a very long stretch and a month and a half between now and determining the championship. Obviously, defending champion, a little bit more pressure to try to defend that crown tonight. A good step forward in that process with the race win here at the Munster Mile, with Kansas coming up next Sunday. Before we let you go and let you obviously celebrate the race win and get ready for the week ahead, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congrats on an amazing effort, a great strategy call, and a win here at the Concrete Jungle.
Yeah, just thank the wife and kids who put up with me doing this every Sunday night. Mom and Dad watching the races, and all the Winstel admins for all the work that they do behind the scenes. It's a lot. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of stuff going on, and they do a great job. All the drivers who showed up tonight, 35 cars showed up tonight for late in the season. I still think that's very respectable. Really happy to see everybody who showed up. And then ABN, of course, for doing all the broadcasting. These broadcasts are awesome. Could go back and check them out on YouTube. So it's a really good, fun time to be in Winstel.
A fun time to be in Winstel, especially in Victory Lane. Christian, enjoy the race win, and hopefully we have a lot more of these conversations over the next month and a half. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was the 17 of Christian Budd, your race winner here tonight, who gets a little bit closer in that championship conversation with tonight's event. We'll take a look to see if the points are updated here, and it looks like, in a way, I still don't think this is correct. I really don't think this is correct at all. So we'll hold off on that topic until next week's race at Kansas, making sure we don't have an update. We do not. Yeah, I do not believe. I believe because Potak's points never adjusted. He was at 851.85 going into tonight's race, so that didn't change. We know McKissick's did. Everyone else had a bit of an interesting race. Heather Head did not have a good run. Emily Howell's race turned up okay at the end there. 10th place for Emily Howell. But obviously these points aren't reflective of some of those changes there, especially with Jeremy Davis. It actually ended up 6th. So yeah, some of this is accurate, some of it isn't. We'll get official points going into next week's race in Kansas, so stay tuned for that as well. We hope you join us for a lot of racing coming up here tomorrow night, the start of the HCL Cup Series season from Daytona, qualifying and the duels. to set the grid for the HTL Daytona 500. You're not going to want to miss that. Our coverage begins tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we get to go back racing on Saturday. No, not on Saturday. Next Sunday. Winstel action from Kansas. We don't have racing on Saturday because the actual NASCAR Cup Series race. So no high octane. So join us tomorrow in Daytona is the rule of thumb there. You're not going to miss that. Should be exciting seeing cars back on track for Winstel or for HTL once again. On behalf of everyone here for Winstel, from everyone at Dover and ABN, I'm Carmen Sienna. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow at Daytona. So long, everybody.